Why is she in heat all the time?
They appreciate things that we look past.
Yes. You will have to walk over my literal dead carcass.
This video is sponsored by Bellesa. Stay tuned for details about our giveaway. One of the most frustrating things about Love on the Spectrum is how fans of the show behave towards the autistic cast members online, how they discuss them in the comments they leave and in the videos they make. We've had people trying to armchair diagnose Tanner with a completely different condition because he smiles. I have a whole video about that, but there is more. So this video is basically gonna be another episode of my series, Are the Neurotypicals Okay? But Love on the Spectrum special edition. In this video, we're gonna have pearl clutching, we're gonna have crying, and threatening to kill on behalf of the cast. This should all make sense to you. If you haven't seen the show, if you have no interest in seeing the show, I will provide context as we go through. And an interesting little thought experiment that I've been doing as I look through these posts and watch these videos is, would these people ever speak about a neurotypical person this way, say a Love is Blind cast member? So maybe you can think about that too as we move through these. Okay, so nobody on the show gets quite as much hate as Dani. She does get a lot of love as well, but silly amount of hate. Dani has been on all 3 seasons of Love on the Spectrum US. She was 26 when it started. She's now 30, a year older than me. Remember that we are discussing a 30-year-old woman here. Her main special interest is animation. She founded her own company, Danimation, and she also teaches animation to other autistic people. Dani didn't talk until she was 6 years old, and now she has a master's degree and she's planning to do her PhD. Her aunt Sandy, who raised Dani for most of her life, has shared how hard Dani fought for her education. She was initially told she couldn't graduate high school because she'd taken too many special education classes.
And she did 5 hours at least of homework every single day until she graduated. Wow. She graduated 4.0 in honors. Top of her class.
She's incredibly impressive, and it's a shame that the show doesn't really establish her backstory. Maybe that would, help to flesh her out as a full human being. Dani gets a bunch of negativity for a lot of different reasons. People don't like and make memes about the fact that she mentions animation a lot, but the major reason that Dani receives pushback is that from late season 2 onwards, she is very open about the fact that she wants an intimate adult relationship.
I've always wanted an intimate relationship.
She's very direct. She speaks about sex without shame. She gets super into researching sex because she loves research generally. That's why she's gonna do a PhD. She shows the sex books that she's been reading to the director of the show, Kian, with zero embarrassment.
It's just research.
And I think people find it jarring. So jarring that she's called things like a predator, manipulative, despite the fact that Dani makes it very clear time and time again that she thoroughly understands consent and boundaries. On the show, Dani starts dating a Catholic autistic man called Adan, and she asks him whether sex is something he'd be open to. And he's not sure about it at first because of his faith, but after some consideration, he says yes, he would be open to safe and consensual sex before marriage. But then a year goes by, and during their anniversary dinner, Dani presents Adan with this animation that she's made, and it ends with her asking him if he's ready to do the deed. And the visual on screen is a bit like, a Sims woohoo under the covers. I think it then feels a bit too real for Adan, so he goes away and he thinks about it and he decides, no, he actually doesn't believe in sex before marriage. It goes against his faith.
She wants to have premarital sex, and granted, I did say I was open to it, but I thought about it, and it's just not something I can do.
And so he and Dani decide that this is quite a big value difference. It's not just about sex. And so they decide to part ways. And Dani's sad about this. She spent the last year thinking that her and this person were on the same page, and then he changed his mind about that, which is obviously his right, but it's still disappointing. Anyway, this person decided to make a condescending-ass TikTok about how the solution is just for Dani to get herself a vibrator.
Someone get Dani from Love on the Spectrum a goddamn vibrator, because why is she in heat all the time? All the time. Like, girl, I get it. I've been there, but all the time?
Okay, so who says Dani doesn't already have a vibrator? She's a 30-year-old woman. I'm sure she doesn't need you to make the suggestion. And she's probably read more about sex than you have. Surely you realize that Dani has not been searching for some quick way to satisfy a biological need. Dani wants an intimate relationship and connection with another adult. She wants a life partner who she can also have sex with. And when this person says, I've been there.
Girl, I get it. I've been there, but all the time?
Have you been there? Have you had a life experience that's in any way similar to Danny's? Did you spend your life being underestimated and have to fight to prove yourself? And did you have to wait until well into early adulthood to have sex with another person for the first time because you have a disability that involves social differences? Have you had to deal with people infantilizing you and perhaps assuming that an adult relationship is something that will never be on the cards for you? And saying in heat, you know, why is she in heat all of the time? It's so dehumanizing. Remember that dog-related phrasing for later on in the video because it is going to come up again. And I find the tone just so mocking. Oh, just get a vibrator and get over it, God. And I wonder, would this person have such little empathy for like a neurotypical woman, maybe one of her friends whose partner is still not open to sex after a year of dating, after suggesting that they probably would be? Would you tell her to just get a vibrator and wait until marriage? You get a sense that some members of the audience get a bit offended when the cast members dare to have preferences. That TikTok was out of line. However, if you do want to grab yourself a goddamn vibrator, then that is of course completely fine too. And you might be able to grab yourself one for free with the sponsor of today's video, Bellesa. Bellesa is a sexual wellness brand and they're on a mission to help everyone who wants to embrace, explore and celebrate their sexuality. And of course, there's no reason why that shouldn't include neurodivergent and disabled people. And I do really appreciate Bellesa's continued support of neurodivergent creators, especially in these more conservative times we're living through. This is our 6th giveaway together, and if you use the link in the description, you'll definitely get something from them, whether it's a gift card to use towards a purchase or a fully free vibrator. I have a few of their best sellers to show you here. Firstly, my favorite, the Demi Wand, is a lovely bright yellow. This case reminds me of foam banana sweets and it just makes me happy. But it's designed to be accessible, it has a flexible neck and it works for so many body types. Now you've probably heard me talk about this one, the Pebble, before. You can control suction and vibration independently and there are no annoying pattern modes, and it's ergonomically built to sit perfectly in your hand. It's very dyspraxia friendly as well. But Bellesa have also launched the Pebble Pro version. This one has a stronger motor, extended battery life and 3 interchangeable heads. One for suction, one for a tongue-like motion, and one for thumping. Speaking of thumping, they do also have the Thump, which is super discreet. I always say this one looks just like a glasses case. This one vibrates, suctions, and of course, it thumps. And there's the Air Vibe for dual stimulation. And this one is also silent, and they're all waterproof, fully submersible, and USB rechargeable. You charge them in the cases, which is super handy. So if you want to enter the giveaway, click the link in the description, enter your email address, and see what you get. You've got nothing to lose. In the comments of this TikTok, someone said, I feel like if it was the other way around, they would attack Adan or say he was pressuring her. They're saying if Adan was the one who'd made an animation asking if Danny was ready to do the deed after a year, that it would be seen as more creepy and predatory. Yeah, I guess if you flip the genders around, there's more of a power imbalance thing. People certainly might have called Adan creepy if he had done the same thing, but there wouldn't have been anything wrong with Adan doing that as long as, you know, if Danny had said no, he respected her boundaries. I also think there's an assumption in society that women don't want sex or shouldn't want sex, and I think Danny's being demonized because of that. It reminds me of that moment on Glee where Rachel Berry is like, girls want sex just as much as guys do.
You want to know a dirty little secret that none of them want you to know? Girls want sex just as much as guys do.
I remember watching that when I was young and I was like, yes, thank you. And we still need to hear that. Isn't that so sad? We still need to hear that in 2025.
I just don't like being infantilized because we women on the autism spectrum have our wants and needs.
Anyway, the creator of this TikTok replied, it's just creepy to act like a sexual predator. They called Danny a sexual predator. The person who made the TikTok also said, people clearly aren't getting it. It's normal to be horny, but it isn't okay to force it onto someone else and invade their boundaries continuously. Please seek help if you think I'm sex shaming her. I mean, you said she was in heat. So, asking your partner of 1 year if he is ready to have sex when he told you a year ago that he was open to it, that is not predatory, that is good communication. They realized they wanted different things, and so they parted ways with some tears.
He wants to get married first, and I'm not really open to that.
Where and when did Danny invade Adan's boundaries? I think the truth is that this TikToker thinks it's a bit weird to ask somebody if they want to have sex via an animation, and they've moralized that feeling. There's also this one where somebody laughs and says, uh-oh, while playing Danny's animation. On screen it says, why is Danny so obsessed with intimacy, with a bunch of laughing faces? I mean, why is Danny so obsessed with intimacy, you may as well ask, why is the human race obsessed with intimacy? And I think the answer is pretty common sense. I think autistic people are just sometimes more willing to be open about these things, which, can be excellent when it comes to consent. You don't want to be doing guesswork.
Bruh.
But this is a running theme, particularly on Reddit, people laughing at Dani for wanting sex, basically. She needs to find someone as horned up as she is. Girl is horny, all caps, like she made a full Pixar film with a sex scene for this man. Someone needs to show Dani what a rose is. She's definitely hypersexual. It makes me concerned. There was also some strange pearl clutching about the fact that her and Adon's parents will see them kissing on the show. They do this thing where they practice kissing on cupcakes. I was thinking at that moment, why did they have to show that part when we all well know their parents, brackets aunt and uncle, are totally gonna watch? There's no need to put it on air. Should the director have got her aunt and uncle's permission beforehand? These are adults who signed up to be on the show. They're aware that they're being recorded. Dani's story is literally just trying to fuck. I mean, she's on a dating show. She just wants some autistic. Again, feels mocking, as autistic itself is often used as a pejorative. And who said it had to be an autistic person? I think she's with a neurotypical guy now, so. Okay, we've got another TikTok, but now we're kind of swinging the other way. So the text on screen is love on the spectrum, autism, and religion.
Something that's driven me absolutely insane watching Love on the Spectrum is seeing how many of these parents are indoctrinating their children and forcing their autistic children to convert to Christianity.
So by convert to Christianity, we mean being raised Christian.
You have Adon, who doesn't believe in premarital sex. His entire house was literally every wall had a cross on it. Then when he showed up to have that conversation with Dani regarding him not believing in premarital sex, he had on the black shirt with the big cross, said it went against his values. And I'm not saying that autistic individuals cannot have their own beliefs, but come on, that was very much from the Catholic Church. The amount of guilt that was clearly seeping through that poor man, because his parents are obviously forcing him into Catholicism. And then you have someone like Tanner, who's specifically looking for a nice Christian Southern woman. The fact that someone like Tanner is being forced into a religion is so incredibly problematic. And this is not to say that their parents are not doing a phenomenal job in terms of raising them, because we all love Tanner. We see the way that his mother is. But now you're forcing a belief on someone who has a disability, who live by a religion that they may not necessarily fully understand. They're just regurgitating what their parents are telling them. I'm sorry, but I'm not pro forcing a religion on someone who is autistic and may have an intellectual disability.
But we don't know if they have an intellectual disability. We shouldn't really be making any sort of assumptions about these people's capacity. We're watching a few minutes of them on a dating show.
You're making them believe something that you're choosing to believe in. You're forcing them to believe and live by a religion that has been proven time and time again to take advantage of individuals, of children, of women, of people who are disabled. You have people in the Christian church who believe that you can pray someone's autism away. You have Catholics who believe that autism is someone being possessed by the devil, that it's somehow demonic. I love the show, but it infuriates me so much to see people indoctrinating their children to be forced to believe in a religion that just, why? How does that serve them as autistic individuals? It doesn't serve them. It serves you as their parent. You needed to feed your own ego.
So yeah, I have a whole video on my channel about the parents of Love on the Spectrum are not as wholesome as you think. A number of the parents are MAGA, or they at least share content on social media that suggests that they are Trump supporters and RFK Jr. supporters, which is concerning and is very off-putting to me when I consider, whether I'll watch future seasons of the show, because the show is creating careers on social media for many of these women who are then going on to spread things like anti-vax rhetoric. Adon does seem to be a pretty devout Catholic, and yeah, there are lots of crucifixes around his home. However, he is an adult. He has the right to choose. If this person is saying that they don't believe that Adon has the capacity to make his own decisions about his faith, about whether he believes or not, she implies that some of the cast members don't understand.
But now you're forcing a belief on someone who has a disability, who live by a religion that they may not necessarily fully understand. They're just regurgitating what their parents are telling them.
Then are we saying we don't believe he has the capacity to consent? Or does he have the capacity to consent but doesn't have the capacity to understand religion? I assume this person is atheist. I'm also atheist. But just because you don't agree with someone's decision doesn't mean it's a bad choice. It doesn't mean they don't fully understand the choice that they're making. We shouldn't be doubting somebody's capacity just because you think they should be doing things differently or because you yourself would make a different decision. Adan is also an adult and he is free to make his own decision about whether or not he wants to have sex before marriage. That is his right. You know, autistic people have freedom of religion just as everybody else does. Of course, autistic people are going to be influenced by their parents. Everybody is influenced by their parents, though. Parents are always going to bring their children up in the way that they believe is right, which is going to reflect their own beliefs. You know, if you truly are a Christian, it would be a bit strange if you decided, oh, because this one's autistic, you know, I'm going to raise this one an atheist. It doesn't really make any sense. Everyone, to some extent, is indoctrinated or converted to their parents' beliefs. I understand that there can be a lot of shame around sex for religious people because of their upbringing, and maybe that does sometimes influence people's decisions. And I think we can still speak out about things like that generally, and also speak out about the ways that religion frames disabled people, disability. Sometimes it's something I did on my channel recently. I reviewed this secretly evangelical Christian autism movie that came out earlier this year, which was terrible. But I think we can speak out about those things without trying to remove the agency of individual autistic people. In the comments they say, so parents aren't allowed to teach their children religion if the child is autistic. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Let's not push the idea that autistic individuals can't set their own morals or values. Autism is not an intellectual disability. Their brains work just fine to formulate their own opinions, and yet even if someone does have an intellectual disability, they should be allowed to make their own decisions wherever possible. They should be given the freedom to make their own choices. Would you be saying the same things about a neurotypical person who had been raised religious, who has been indoctrinated throughout their lives? I think you've got to be really careful with the implications of this, because then does Dani have the capacity to make her own decisions about wanting a sexual adult relationship? Of course she does. She's a 30-year-old woman, but if she has that right, then Adan also has the right to say no because of his faith. And implying that there's something wrong with his brain because he doesn't want to make the decision that we believe is right and that matches our values is terrible. We shouldn't do that. But now we're flipping it around again. Speaking of religion, I saw this podcast clip.
Love on the spectrum. Why I wanted to bring it up is because something that they all have, most of them have in common, is that they're all believers and they have very strong faith and they're very dedicated to their relationship with God.
Okay, so not all of the cast members are religious. Some of them are, some of them aren't, some of them we don't really know. I wouldn't say there's a massive focus on God and religion throughout the show. It comes up sometimes. I wouldn't say it's like the main focus of the show, but this is how these people seem to have interpreted it.
And I think it's very interesting because when you look at them, they have a very childlike heart and they see things very purely and they're very smart.
I feel like calling them so smart after we just infantilized them, it's a bit condescending.
I mean, they remember everything, and when they sit down with each other and they're so pure of heart that maybe they're missing some of the social cues that we have, but who cares?
I mean, a lot of neurotypical people care when you miss social cues. In the real world, when we're not cozy at home watching a reality TV show, a lot of people care.
They're just honest in who they are. And I think that what's so interesting, because of their memory and their brain of being able to remember things.
We're doing Rain Man.
It's interesting that they see the value of God and they see the value of his word, sometimes even more than we do.
Amen. I so agree with you. I want to add another thing to that because that is so beautifully said. They appreciate things that we look past.
Yes.
I don't want to spoil her, but when that girl had her first kiss and watching her just her butterflies are exploding, and the fact that she's been thinking about this.
I mean, I'd say that's quite a common experience, having butterflies and being super excited for your first kiss, whether you're autistic or not. That's just a human experience. It's just that for some of these cast members, that's happening later in life for them.
And then one of them doesn't want to have sex until marriage.
One of them aligns with my beliefs, and I like it. We don't mention Dani. Notice here, we don't mention Dani. These autistic people, they're making the right decision when I agree with it. When they don't, then I'm gonna question their mental capacity. I don't know. Happening on both sides.
And the way he passionately explained himself about it, they're enjoying life at a level that we were designed to enjoy life. But we are so far in our own thoughts and our own fears, but they're just living with the day-to-days of what's true and beautiful in life. And dude, it was a great show.
So we're doing their one-dimensional, childlike, pure, innocent. Autistic people are these magical beings who exist as a ladder to help guide us neurotypical people closer to God. If only we could just be more like them. I mean, this kind of thing can sound like kindness, but it's othering. You're literally implying that they're kind of not human. I spoke quite a bit about Christianity and inspiration porn in the video I made about that movie, The Unbreakable Boy. Autistic people are human beings like everyone else, flawed human beings like everyone else. I can assure you, behind the scenes and off camera, these people will be, not perfect. They'll be human. And I mean, it's hard to look past the fact that I'm sure many people, I don't know if it's these people, but many people who share similar opinions support Trump and support RFK Jr. Oh my gosh, they're so pure and they're so much better than us, but don't take Tylenol. Make it make sense, Someone said in the comments, I cannot wait to meet Tanner in heaven. Yeah, that could read kind of ominous. Almost certainly, you would never speak about a neurotypical person in this way. You might admire their faith, but I don't think that I did. They've got these special magical brains with a hotline to God. I don't think that would come into it. We have a Reddit post, season 3 makeup. The ladies seem to wear a lot of makeup. Do you think that's a production thing? I never saw them show themselves doing their makeup. And you would think with makeup like that, it would be a big part of your life and routine. So someone seems to be a bit confused by autistic people wearing makeup. We do actually see several cast members, including Danny, do their makeup on their show. I mean, I think a lot of the time when people are going to be on TV, they do their makeup. Again, would we say this about a neurotypical cast? But yeah, of course, autistic people are people. They can wear makeup if they want to. Sometimes it can be kind of a masking thing. I just feel like sometimes it does some of my self-expression work for me. If I'm having a day where I'm not emoting as much, I'm like, look, I've got sparkly stuff on my eyes. I do have a personality in here somewhere. For some autistic people, it can be a special interest, although autistic people can do things that are not a special interest. There was a comment elsewhere that I saw where someone was like, sex is Danny's special interest. And I'm like, I don't know, she just wants to have sex and she's good at research, so she researched it. Maybe sex is a special interest. It can certainly be a special interest, but I wouldn't necessarily assume that it's a special interest just because she wants it, Again, she's a human being. And yeah, some autistic people just wear makeup because they want to, because they're people, and that is fine, because they are not magical otherworldly beings. And they can do worldly things like wear makeup. Okay, so there's a clip from another podcast. I don't know who it is. I don't know who these people are. There's so many podcasts in the world these days. I can't know everything, okay? From Two Bears, One Cave. They went to a Netflix party with cast members, and this is what they had to say about it.
Dude, Love on the Spectrum ran the Netflix party. We go on the dance floor. Dude, you would have loved this. Love on the Spectrum owned the dance floor.
Really?
All the kids from Love on the Spectrum, all their moms owned that goddamn dance floor. And so you went out there, and dancing with autistic kids might be my favorite thing I've ever done in my life. They just like walk up and they're like, I don't know you. And you're like, cool. My mom says you're famous. And I was like, awesome. Can I get a picture? Of course.
So twice there, he refers to the autistic cast as kids. There's also this TikTok made by somebody where they're talking about Tanner.
This season's Love on the Spectrum is so good. There's this kid, Tanner, and he is just the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life.
They also refer to Tanner as a kid and use the word cute to describe him. Again, I don't think you would say this about a neurotypical reality TV star unless they were like much younger than you. They were in like their early 20s or something and you wanted to emphasize how young they were or the age gap between you for some reason. Maybe like, oh, they're a 21-year-old kid. I don't know. Although I do believe these people mean well, they were trying to say something positive. I do think the infantilization of disabled people, of autistic people, is something that we need to be aware of. I mean, they are adults. Some of them are literally in their 40s and beyond. We want disabled and autistic adults to be taken seriously when it comes to employment. Autistic people tend to really struggle with employment. The stats on employment for autistic people, it's much lower than just for disabled people generally. And we also want autistic people to be taken seriously in relationships. I mean, they're on a dating show for adults and we're calling them autistic kids. And maybe if we didn't do this so much, people wouldn't get so confused when Danny comes out there and says, you know what, I'm a 30-year-old woman and I want to have sex with my partner. I want to find a partner who I love, who I have a connection with, who is also open to having sex with me. And we wouldn't maybe have such an uproar if we weren't going, autistic kids, they're so cute, oh my god. And I think to some extent, like, language kind of shapes our reality. If as an autistic person, you're hearing yourself or other autistic people, autistic adults, being referred to as autistic kids, how does that make you feel? Does that make you feel ready to take on the world and like you can do anything? Or does that make you feel small? The next batch of TikToks I'm gonna call doing too much. Examples of doing too much. Again, kind of condescending, but like well-meaning. See if you have the same problems with these TikToks as I do.
I feel like I've already watched this whole Love is on the Spectrum show.
Okay, as a side note, the number of people who can't get this program's name right, I hear so many different like combinations. It's fine, doesn't really matter. This person actually says they haven't seen the show, they've just seen clips of it from TikTok and now they feel like they've seen it.
Just like through TikToks alone, just scrolling crazy. Quick thoughts, the guy Connor is the funniest person maybe in the world. His hot mom that he just like absolutely roasts to pieces. His passionate hate for blondes. How he just snaps into like British accents and historical facts is just amazing. The other guy that I love that I saw, the guy who was on Ellen recently, who met Jack Black.
Ellen is no longer on air. It was actually the Kelly Clarkson show.
And actually melted and shattered into a billion pieces and was like saying I love you like this close to Jack Black's face. Like, I love it, man. We need more autistic people. They're good people. They're the best. I love them. They're great.
Don't tell RFK Jr. Don't tell him. And then we have this one that actually comes up with a warning message when you click on it because the person is filming the TikTok while driving, which probably definitely don't be doing that.
Love on the Spectrum is the greatest show of all time. These people on the autism spectrum are the best of humanity. They're the best we got. They are literally all my favorite attributes in a human without really any of the qualities that I don't like. I love it. And Tanner, fucking bundle of joy, dude. Can we be friends?
And then we have this one.
I just started watching Love on the Spectrum. Okay, I knew I couldn't handle it. And shocker, I was right. Crying every episode. It's totally fine. Okay, if these people are ever in danger from legislation, bullies, anything, you will have to walk over my literal dead carcass to get to them. They are family to me, personally, forever and always. And I will kill for them. Like, I will.
I'm just like, you don't know them. You don't know them at all. I mean, yeah, I feel like this person and some of the other people, they seem really nice and they seem warm and they mean well. It's just like, you're doing too much. You're doing too much. Calm down. Saying things like they're the best people or we need more of them in the world. They are too good for us. They are too pure. I will protect them with my literal life. And again, I feel like this is kind of condescending and infantilizing. I'll mother you. You need me to protect you. And there's kind of like a power imbalance there. You're not seeing these people as equals. And I suppose there's a performative quality to it because, you know, it's just words. It's words on TikTok. You know, what is the point of this exactly? And there will be autistic people in your community who every autistic person is different, but will be similar in dealing with similar challenges to the cast members. There probably are things you could do and ways you could get involved if you genuinely wanted to help and to protect autistic people and autistic people who are not currently being featured on reality TV and who have not got sponsorship offers and opportunities, you know, coming in. And who knows, maybe this person does do something. I don't know. I guess the assumption that I have here is that this is kind of like a moment of strong feelings that will probably pass. I feel like we've all been there where we, you know, like we've had this moment of like strong conviction about something and then we wake up the next day and we get on with our lives and we maybe don't think about it again. And there's this one where someone's crying and it says, watching Love on the Spectrum really just makes you realize how shallow and fake the rest of us are. Again, that's kind of like inspiration porn, like you're using them to inspire you to be a better person. And there are so many TikToks of people crying, tears streaming down their face over the show. Does any material good come from stuff like this and people crying on TikTok? I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe when these people are out in the community and they do meet an autistic person, they will be kinder and they will remember the warm and fuzzies that they had while watching this show. Like, I don't know. I can't definitively say there's a negative impact. In my last video that I made about Tanner, where people were armchair diagnosing him with a different condition, there were people also comparing him to their dog. Also, people were saying he had golden retriever energy, which I know can be said about neurotypical people as well. It just kind of means you have a positive, upbeat disposition. However, it kind of hits a bit differently when we've got people posting things like this. If Tanner is a golden retriever, what dog breeds would the other cast members be? My wife and I were saying how Tanner has big golden retriever energy. With his energy, sincerity, and enthusiasm, what dog breeds would fit the other cast members' personality? And then people are, giving their answers, and I don't know anything about dogs. So that goes over my head. Somebody responded, this question was obviously asked in good faith and not meant to be offensive or serious at all. That being said, it can come off badly. It's not a big deal to playfully compare humans to dogs at all, but it's good to be mindful when the group of people in question is an oppressed group who have been routinely dehumanized over the years. Comparing an oppressed group of people to animals hits a little differently, especially if the people doing the comparing are not autistic themselves. Yeah, there was this trend earlier this year over on TikTok where people used Tanner's voice as a sound. It's a snippet where he's on a date with somebody called Kate and acting like this is their dog's voice, basically. Like, this is what my dog would sound like if he spoke.
Hey, Kate, here's what I liked about you. You're beautiful and pretty, and I like talking with you, and you have a good smile, and you're very interesting. Hey, Kate, here's what I liked about you. You're beautiful and pretty, and I like talking with you, and you have a good smile, and you're very interesting. So what did you like about me?
Again, I don't think people mean badly. I think, Tanner is obviously saying nice things and he sounds happy and positive, and most people see dogs as like overwhelmingly happy. But, Tanner is a multifaceted human being. And in my other video about Tanner, I discussed the problems with seeing him as, constantly happy and one-dimensional. And yeah, like with your dog, even if you really love your golden retriever, you probably, you're not seeing it as an equal. You're speaking to it in a baby voice. You might see it as your child, as your son or daughter, but probably not as an equal and not as a human adult.
Hey, Kate, here's what I liked about you. You're beautiful and pretty, and I like talking with you, and you have a good smile, and you're very interesting. So what did you like about me?
This was such a popular trend. There are so many of these. Someone also made one with an audio of Connor arguing with his mom, pretending it's a conversation that they had with their dog.
Connor.
I can hear just fine.
Okay.
Speak.
I feel like you're upset with me.
I am very upset with you.
I struggle to imagine people doing this with non-disabled people. I think a lot of people see disabled people as simpler and sweeter and more innocent, so it was easier for them to make the connection. There was some pushback to this trend, but then Tanner himself came out and said that he was fine with it. He doesn't think it's that deep, which, I'm glad. I'm glad that he's not upset or offended by it, obviously, because that would be horrible.
Hey, Kate, here's what I liked about you. You're beautiful and pretty, and I like talking with you.
Guys, everybody calm down. I've heard that some people are getting very worked up about my voice being used for animal videos. Well, let me tell you how I feel about it. I love it. I'm an animal lover, and it's really not that deep. I like dogs, I like cows, I like horses, I like gorillas, I like birds, and they can all pretend to be me. So bring on all the animals because I love them all and I will repost them all.
I'm glad he doesn't mind, he is an animal lover. He does share that on the show. Maybe people did have that in mind when they made these. But I still think seeing this kind of thing on TikTok could affect how the general public see autistic people and disabled people more generally. Like, it doesn't necessarily just affect Tanner. And Tanner, obviously, this helps to increase, his popularity and his brand. Even though Tanner's okay with it, I suppose if people continue doing it, Tanner said that's fine. I still think we have the right to kind of comment on it and analyze it. I don't know, maybe infantilization is that deep. On Reddit, somebody asked, do people with autism experience the awkward and funny moments in the show in the same way as neurotypical people? It's a great show. We love the stars of the show. We respect them and identify with them on some level. Yeah, I have heard that that's one of the good things about the show. People kind of realize that dating is difficult for everybody. It's just as difficult for autistic people as it is for neurotypical people, and that's kind of been a bit of an equalizer. After all, dating is hard for everyone. Yeah, they say we laugh with them, but let's be honest, we also laugh at them. We laugh at the results of their deficits in the realms of social etiquette and communication and appropriate behavior. This is arguably what keeps us watching. And yeah, I think some of the things that Kaylin has said, Kaylin was a cast member on season 1 and she wasn't asked back, and she's low support needs, high masking. And there was also another cast member, Journey, in season 2 who was low support needs, high masking, who wasn't asked back. And Kaylin has kind of implied that this perhaps makes her less entertaining to watch.
When I didn't get invited back to the next seasons of Love on the Spectrum, I said it was probably because I don't make for good reality TV.
So what did you mean when you said that?
The audience is not necessarily on the edge of their seats when they watch me. They're not wondering, oh my God, what's she going to say next? Is she going to reach across the table and put her hands in his pants? Like, no one is wondering that.
So yeah, it's interesting to hear someone who's not autistic say that and kind of admit that, yeah, people do laugh at the cast. I mean, I think that's quite obvious, and I think some of the editing encourages that. Yeah, I mean, there's some autistic people in the comments saying that they do like the show. I know when I did a poll on my channel, surprisingly few people watch the show, and I do think for autistic people that will be because of like secondhand embarrassment, secondhand cringe. Another kind of trend on TikTok that's been going around is ranking like funniest Love on the Spectrum moments. This person made a Reddit post about it, how fandom treats cast members rant. I'm tired of all the TikToks like ranking Connor's funny moments in quotation marks, and it's just him being frustrated / anxious. It takes me back to when I was a kid and I had meltdowns and everyone would laugh at me, like his family using an audio of him being frustrated on TikTok, like poking fun at it. It just rubs me the wrong way how everyone treats these moments, and this happens to me all the time, and I've noticed this happens to Connor and other cast members where you'll just say something and everyone laughs at it. It wasn't meant to be funny, but then everyone is just dying laughing. And some of these rankings are in really poor taste. This one just says ranking Love on the Spectrum, and number 6 is ignored. It's a moment where Madison, one of the cast members, asks her dates a question and he doesn't respond.
So do you still live with your family?
He doesn't respond because he was incredibly overwhelmed in the restaurant. He kept putting his head down to the table. He was in sensory overload. He was very uncomfortable. He ended up having to leave early. The director debated whether they should even keep it in the show, and they put like a message that didn't really make much sense and didn't really say much of anything, but they had kind of like an almost warning message. If anyone you know suffers with sensory differences, I don't know, popped up on screen because of it. Quite a sensitive moment, ranking Love on the Spectrum as if it's like funny that she got ignored, like haha, how awkward, he didn't respond to her. He's trying to block out the sound because he's overwhelmed in that moment. So yeah, again, just feels mocking. And they also included as number 4 this moment where Tana says, I can't think of anything else to say right now, but I'm having a great time on this date.
Do you like to make cookies?
Yes.
Do you like to make brownies?
I like cakes and brownies.
I can't think of anything to say, but I'm still having a good time.
Me too.
Do you think of anything else to say?
No.
That's okay.
Which is something that he was encouraged to do by the dating coach, so he doesn't feel pressure to constantly carry the conversation. And it's a great idea. I'm having a great time, but I can't think of anything else to say right now, but that's okay. Like, to make, silences feel more comfortable. So I don't know why that was included. Maybe they just thought it was good. They thought it just says ranking Love on the Spectrum moments, but it is hashtagged meme. So I don't know. I think they probably were laughing at and poking fun at this because, I don't know, it was an awkward exchange, or because Kate, his date, replied and said she couldn't think of anything else to say. I don't know. I don't understand the ways of the neurotypicals. Are they okay? No. We've decided no. And a lot of them are just laughing at socially awkward moments, which we know. We know why the neurotypical people enjoy the show, or part of why they enjoy the show. People do enjoy, people actually finding love, and yes, people do find good matches too. But this is a part of it, and you can tell from the way it's edited. There have also been some people questioning whether or not the autistic cast members should be doing sponsorships. A year ago, somebody made this TikTok, somebody called Danny Speaks, talking about how she finds the show more genuine and wholesome, and part of the reason was because they don't take a load of sponsorships, unlike people who go on other reality TV shows. But this was made a year ago, and since then the show I think has become a lot more popular, and a lot of the cast members are taking sponsorships and getting other opportunities.
I'm watching a show on Netflix called, I think it's Love on the Spectrum or Spectrum of Love. Can't remember which one, but it's one of those. Okay, it's on Netflix. Oh my god, I'm trying to be like Tana. I'm trying to see how Tana sees the world. I'm trying to be like Tana. Honestly, this guy is the sweetest, he's just such a sweetheart. If you've watched it, you'll know what I mean. I love everyone on the show, and I also love the fact that it's a reality show, but I feel like I'm getting the real reality. I feel like they're not lying. I feel like this is a real, like, what you see is a real deal, yeah? And it's the only dating show that I can honestly say that the people on the show are genuinely looking for love. Like, they are genuinely looking for love. They're not looking for no brand deals. They're actually on there because they want to find love.
Yeah, I think it both can be true at the same time. You can go on a show because you genuinely want to find love, but then still have other opportunities from that show. And I mean, they're not paid to be on the show, so it's kind of like, well, fair enough. Tanner was working in a hotel before being on the show. I don't know if he probably still works there. I don't know. Connor at a supermarket, and he's really hoping to build himself like a little granny flat, his own little like unit on his parents' property, so he has, you know, his own space. Autistic people really struggle with employment often, so, you know, if you can make some money from this, you may as well. Some people are kind of not happy about this. Is this program for love or fame? Someone put on Reddit. This was because Connor was guest starring in an episode of Brilliant Minds. Is he supposed to be turning over rocks and looking in the garbage bins for a love interest, or is it perfectly normal to pursue the opportunities that present to himself? Let him have his fun, someone said. Should he not pursue any other opportunities? Yeah, and not or. They get exposure looking for love, and people fall for their personalities. Happy for his success in any domain, which is really nice. And on another one about Connor signing with a talent agency, this is slowly going into the direction of all other reality TV shows. Most of them want to be influencers or famous. Happy for him personally though. Yeah, and I can understand, like, if you're following someone and it suddenly becomes all sponsorships, that might get frustrating. And it does often feel like reality TV shows, like, the longer they go on, the less you believe the people on the show genuinely want to find love, and that can affect your enjoyment of the show. We must be careful, I think, not to have a double standard though. Like, it's fine for the neurotypical Love is Blind contestants to plug their businesses, but the autistic people must be innocent and pure and must not want money. They're way too sweet to want money. You know what? Maybe they want money. Abby from the show has been very clear that she wants to make a lot of money.
Do you like being famous?
I do, because I want to make more money.
Get the bag, Abby.
Maybe people need money because, again, they're not being paid on the show, despite the fact that the show won an award for great casting. And the same cast are appearing, many of them are appearing season after season after season. Danny has been on all 3 seasons. It's kind of a bit more of like a Keeping Up with the Kardashians kind of thing than a Love is Blind, because the same people are coming back again and again. At that point, it's like, should we not be paid? And Love is Blind contestants, cast members, whatever, are paid. Not very much, but they are paid. Love on the Spectrum, they just pay for the dates and transport and things like that. Some people do discuss how they find it off-putting that some of the cast members' families are trying to build a social media career. And I can get that a bit more, like, you know, you're trying to capitalize off your child's success. I can see why that would be uncomfortable. There are so many more posts. There was somebody who was wondering if it would be acceptable for them to ask James's dad, one of the cast member James, his dad, to do their taxes for them as an excuse to meet him. No, don't do that. That's weird. And then someone also had a theory that Danny actually has 2 aunts. The 2 Sandys theory. I think because sometimes her accent changes. Probably like a code switching thing, as someone said in the comments. I don't know. She seems like the same person to me. And then, of course, naturally, there are plenty of examples of people accusing the cast of faking autism. There was this TikTok about Tanner.
Have you seen that over the spectrum dating reels that's been going around?
Over the spectrum.
There's one guy, though, that has, like, over the spectrum, Tanner, and he's like, hi, my name's Tanner, and I think that everything is good and joyful, and I have bad days sometimes, but it's okay, because I have good days, too. Anyway, I think he's acting. I really think he's acting. Really? I think in, like, 10 years, he's gonna come out and be like, yo, what's up, yeah. I say that to people, and they just look at me like I'm a horrible human.
I get this person might be joking, but yeah, autistic people get this all the time, and it's usually because of autistic traits. Like, that's the ironic thing. Your speech was a bit different. If you missed all of my other Low on the Spectrum videos, I will leave them linked down below, including the video where people are trying to armchair diagnose Tanner with a different condition. Speaking of fake claiming, I recently made a video responding to centrist Amir Odom, who made a video about all the Gen Z and millennial people who are pretending to be autistic on TikTok, and there was kind of an impressive and fascinating level of fence sitting going on there. And if you finished everything on the channel, I do do 2 exclusive videos a month over on Patreon. My most recent ones have been a Evil Autism review, a review of the Evil Autism subreddit for Halloween. That's like a tradition we do. It's like memes, autism memes, but more evil. How to fake liking trains! A guide for when faced with an assessor who can only think in autistic stereotypes. Don't let fake disorder cringe find this. Do not let fake disorder cringe find this. And then I also have almost 2-hour long reading vlog, reading and reviewing Ellie Mid's book, How to Be You. You don't have to have read the book in order to enjoy it. It's kind of hopefully to help you decide whether it's a worthwhile book for you to read. I've done Paige Leal's book, Ryan Kelly's book, and then Ellie Middleton's first book, which was called Unmasked. I think that's going to be a monthly thing. There's a poll over on there to choose the next one now. I also have a podcast on there and a Discord server where you can chat to like-minded people. You don't have to be diagnosed autistic to join. You just have to be a nice person. And remember, if you want to enter the giveaway, you can click the link in the description and see if you can get yourself a goddamn vibrator. All right, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.